From concocting one of the stupidest lies to make themselves look less stupid to a very elaborate fugitive lifestyle they didn't even need to embrace, this is the chaotic friendship of Spongebob and Patrick. We're starting our list in the true spirit of their friendship. It's I'm with Stupid. The episode starts with SpongeBob hyped to go jellyfishing with Patrick, only to find Patrick all stressed out and frantically cleaning his house, which is weird. Usually Patrick does nothing. Turns out it's Starfish Day and Patrick's parents are coming to visit. They think Patrick is pretty dim-witted, which is true, and he just can't handle facing their judgment again.
Parents just like to push your buttons, like this.
That always cheers me up.
SpongeBob, ever the loyal friend, suggests that he could act like a total idiot to make Patrick look smarter by comparison. And Patrick jumps on the idea. Their totally moronic plan is set. And to be fair, it's one of their better plans, which is about as weak a compliment as I can give. The next day, Mama and Papa Star show up, and Patrick welcomes them in, acting like the perfect host. Of course, they immediately start treating him like a little kid, patting him on the back for simple things like getting drinks.
Son, you must have been working all night to put these together for us. We love you.
He thinks this is insulting, but those of us who have watched him for years, yeah, it's kind of a miracle. Hooray! The idiot's here! I mean, I'll get it. Yeah, SpongeBob arrives fully committed to his idiot role, complete with a karate helmet to make him look extra ridiculous, as if he needed any help. He acts so absurdly that Patrick's parents start giving Patrick credit for being the smart one who manages to look after this obviously clueless friend. Patrick's soaking up the praise while SpongeBob keeps up his goofy antics. At dinner, things get tense when Patrick begins mocking SpongeBob, apparently enjoying all the extra praise he's getting. SpongeBob is annoyed and pulls Patrick aside to remind him of their original plan, but Patrick has actually started to believe SpongeBob really is that dumb.
Patrick, I get the feeling that you think I really am dumb.
SpongeBob is frustrated but tries one last time to impress Patrick's parents by acting smart, only to find out it backfires. Patrick's parents think Patrick must have trained him to behave, as if Patrick could even behave himself. Eventually, SpongeBob snaps, yelling in frustration and smashing through the wall to escape. Okay, not helping your case, buddy.
Now listen to me. I'm not dumb. I have a brain. See? Here's a picture of it.
That must be actual size.
Just when it couldn't get weirder, Patrick suddenly realizes that this couple, Janet and Marty, aren't actually his parents. They're just random starfish. Wait, what? How did he not notice?
Janet? Marty? Who are you people?
Marty, I'm scared.
Squidward then arrives with Patrick's real parents who have been looking for him all day. Janet and Marty realize they don't even have a son and they leave awkwardly. Man, the writers really ran out of brain cells on this one, huh? Patrick's real parents laugh off the mix-up and SpongeBob and Patrick end the episode sharing a laugh with them. Honestly, sometimes a bad ending just makes me want to run away and live as a fugitive. Judging by this next episode, it's basically all balloons, chocolate, and toxic friendship. It's Life of Crime. SpongeBob and Patrick are watching this old crime movie with Mr. Krabs at the Krusty Krab. Krabs goes on a rant about how terrible thieves are, but SpongeBob and Patrick remind him of all the stuff he's borrowed without permission. A random assortment of things from a barrel to Mrs. Puff's hair curlers. Mr. Krabs brushes it off, claiming it's fine to borrow things, as long as you return them before they're missed. Ah, the beauty of capitalism and wealth. You can do whatever you want, so long as you're rich. SpongeBob and Patrick take this as solid advice, so when they later see a balloon they want but can't afford, they decide to borrow it. They sneak away like little master criminals, but before they even get to enjoy their new balloon, it pops. Damn, and that plan was so close to idiot-proof. Now, they can't return it, so they immediately start panicking, convinced that they're officially criminals.
Wow, street performers.
When they see the balloon stand owner nearby, they don't even stick around to hear him say it's National Free Balloon Day. They just take off, assuming they're wanted outlaws. I guess Bikini Bottom must have a high number of balloon thieves. They end up camping out in the middle of nowhere, miserable, thinking they'll never get to see their friends or enjoy normal life ever again. But then, in true SpongeBob and Patrick fashion, they start seeing the bright side of being on the run. No rules, no returns, just free living.
And the best part is, now that we're felons, we don't have to return anything we borrow.
This optimism doesn't last long, though, because SpongeBob pulls out 2 chocolate bars they can survive on forever. And Patrick, in 2 seconds flat, scarfs his down, forgets, and accuses SpongeBob of stealing his. SpongeBob tries to share, but Patrick refuses unless SpongeBob admits to taking it.
Well, you would know, liar.
Well, if you're gonna be that way, I'll eat it myself.
You better not.
And a frustrated SpongeBob just eats his own. Yeah, I would do that too, bro. They decide to race to the police station to turn each other in. Once they get there, the officer quickly realizes it's just a hilarious misunderstanding. SpongeBob and Patrick confess and are placed in a cell, but the officers quickly release them, explaining it was National Free Balloon Day after all. They're given lollipops for their troubles, but of course, Patrick eats his immediately and forgets. All right, which one of you flatfoot stole my lollipop? They all laugh, though Patrick is actually serious. Yeah, accuse the cops of stealing again and see what happens, buddy. They don't always obey orders.
Run.
But to be fair, they always make an adventure out of it, even when there is no real adventure to be had, like in Sandy's rocket. SpongeBob visits Sandy and discovers her brand new rocket ship. She's planning a trip to the moon for some dumb reason, and naturally SpongeBob begs her to let him tag along.
I can fit in here. Cozy.
I need that drawer.
Well, how about this? Or this? Or this?
She resists at first, saying this is strictly a science trip, not some fun adventure. Whatever chaos happened with the Whirlybird incident made her cautious. But SpongeBob's persistence eventually wins her over. She shows him a net-shooting pop gun meant for collecting moon rocks and firmly insists there are no aliens. SpongeBob's just excited to go along, aliens or not! But make no mistake, he really wants there to be aliens.
Sandy, 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 how could you be so naive? There's evidence all around us. How do you explain Atlantis, Cowlicks, 99-cent stores?
Hurry up!
Patrick shows up later with his own addition to the adventure, alien repellent. Now, you and I both know this is not alien repellent, but I kinda don't wanna know what he used to make this stuff. They sneak out to spray it on the rocket, but of course Patrick ends up accidentally climbing inside with SpongeBob quickly following. Once inside, they can't resist playing with all the buttons, and before long, they accidentally launch the rocket. There's a lot of accidents going on here, and I'll be real, I'm not sure any of them were accidents. The liftoff wakes Sandy, but by the time she's up, they're already gone. Instead of making it to the moon, the rocket circles around and crash lands right back in Bikini Bottom. But SpongeBob and Patrick, totally convinced they're now on the moon, see their surroundings as some alien illusion.
So you mean to say they've taken what we thought we think and make us think we thought our thoughts we've been thinking our thoughts we think we thought? I think?
Thinking Bikini Bottom citizens are aliens in disguise, they grab Sandy's pop guns and start capturing everyone they see. Soon enough, they've netted nearly everyone in town. Well, say whatever you want about them, but they're productive when they're being stupid. Sandy eventually catches up to them, furious, trying to explain they never even left Earth. But SpongeBob and Patrick aren't having it and promptly capture her too. Then, in the ultimate twist, SpongeBob and Patrick are starting to suspect each other of being alien. Okay, maybe it's not really a twist when you know their friendship is always like this. Patrick tries to capture SpongeBob, but in true Patrick fashion, he accidentally aims his net gun the wrong way and captures himself instead. Thinking they've done their job as alien hunters, SpongeBob decides it's time to return to Earth. He restarts the rocket, and this time it actually makes it to the moon, but they crash land on the lunar surface with an empty gas tank. Realizing they're now on the real moon, SpongeBob peeks out the window to see Earth below, realizing their mistake. Damn, if only they could learn to listen to other people. It would change their lives. Meanwhile, the captured citizens in the cargo hold demand a word with him, but the look on SpongeBob's face says it all. Yet another wild mess-up courtesy of SpongeBob and Patrick. This is actually one of their better adventures together, and it wasn't really an adventure as much as it was just kidnapping and torturing. But then these guys have something of a history with this. Like the time they almost ended Squidward's life and then decided to torture him with a best day ever. Yeah, this is jellyfishing. SpongeBob and Patrick gear up for a jellyfishing trip at SpongeBob's house. They're all excited, even sliding down ropes so fast they end up with flaming rope burns on their hands. They ask Squidward to join, but he claims he's busy and heads off on his bike instead. SpongeBob, ever hopeful, believes Squidward would totally go jellyfishing with them one day. I have no idea what the hell he's thinking there. Patrick is more skeptical, or realistic, saying Squidward just doesn't like them, but SpongeBob insists otherwise, determined to include him in their plans eventually, whether he wants to or not, it seems. Meanwhile, Squidward's bike ride quickly goes wrong when a jellyfish appears, tangling his tentacles and causing him to spin out of control, crash down a cliff, and even explode. So, bad day for Squidward. When he comes home, he's wrapped head to toe in bandages and stuck in a wheelchair. SpongeBob and Patrick decide Squidward needs a best day ever to cheer him up.
Hello?
Hey, Patrick, Squid's home, and we're gonna make sure he's greeted by his two best friends.
Oh, great.
Kicking things off by offering him alphabet soup. But Patrick keeps blowing the hot soup onto Squidward's face, making him wince in pain. Then they decide maybe music would be better and attempt to play his clarinet. But it goes horribly wrong, so they move on to the main event, jellyfishing. Honestly, it's like they're speedrunning the fastest way to make him want to die. They bring Squidward to Jellyfish Fields where Patrick tries to help him hold a net, but ends up stabbing it through Squidward's cast-covered hand. You know, because you can't have the best day ever with both functioning hands. Squidward is completely over it, but when a jellyfish stings him, he snaps and decides to get revenge. He actually manages to catch the jellyfish and starts banging his net triumphantly, but little does he know he's whacking away at a massive queen jellyfish. She's not happy, to say the least, and begins chasing him with only one goal: to put him down. SpongeBob and Patrick, oblivious as ever, cheer him on until she hits him with a huge sting, leaving them cringing. They take no responsibility, of course.
Your best day ever, isn't it?
The next day, SpongeBob and Patrick come to apologize, both covered in band-aids, and bring Squidward the jellyfish he caught. But Squidward, now on life support and barely responsive, releases the jellyfish, signaling he's still mad. And why the hell wouldn't he be? SpongeBob and Patrick flee from the angry jellyfish, getting stung repeatedly. As Squidward laughs at their bad luck, the queen jellyfish finds him once more, zapping him and shattering his cast. Squidward, totally blackened, manages to mutter a faint, "Ow." Damn, and all this because SpongeBob and Patrick just had to help. But they always just have to help. Actually, sometimes they just have to cause total chaos, like in Snowball Effect, when a fresh coating of snow is an opportunity to hurt one another. So it all starts when this giant iceberg floats over Bikini Bottom and suddenly it's snowing underwater. I don't know how the science works, just for all the know-it-alls in the comments. Everyone's pumped, especially SpongeBob and Patrick, who immediately decide it's time for a snowball fight. They start building snow forts and going at it, but their laughter and snowball throwing get on Squidward's nerves as he's trying to relax by the fire with his tea. He yells at them to keep it down, which only prompts them to invite him to join their snowball fight. Both SpongeBob and Patrick want him on their side, but Squidward thinks snowball fights are childish and tells them to leave him out of it. Isn't that adorable? He thinks he has a choice. When SpongeBob and Patrick accidentally put out Squidward's fire, twice, he decides he'll just sit back and watch them fight, hoping they might hurt themselves in the process. But SpongeBob and Patrick misinterpret his words and sign a peace treaty, stopping their fight altogether.
You were right. Fighting is for children.
No, I misled you. It's for adults too. Give me that peace treaty. There, let the war continue. Squidward is disappointed and tries to egg them on to start throwing snowballs again, but instead, Patrick keeps accidentally hitting Squidward with snowballs just for fun. Fed up, Squidward finally loses it and throws a snowball back at them, though he completely misses and just puts out his fire again. But that's all SpongeBob and Patrick need to see. They think
Squidward's taking this really seriously.
now it's on. They hide behind their forts and start pelting Squidward with snowballs, hitting him so hard they turn him into a snowman, complete with a top hat, which is an improvement on his usual look, if I'm being honest. At first, Squidward's furious, but he snaps and actually starts enjoying himself, throwing snowballs right back at them and even hitting SpongeBob smack in the face. He really gets into it, going all out and hitting them again and again, until SpongeBob and Patrick, who realize he's going a little too hard, sneak off back to SpongeBob's pineapple to relax instead. But Squidward is having too much fun inflicting harm on his most hated irritants. When Squidward notices the snowballs have stopped falling, he thinks SpongeBob and Patrick are planning a counterattack. He goes overboard, building an enormous snow fortress, Fort Squidward, to defend himself. But as snow from a tree branch falls on his head, he assumes it's an ambush and starts tossing snowballs in all directions, shouting victoriously into the empty snow. This might actually be one of the best moments in his life, unironically. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick are totally chill inside, sipping hot chocolate and watching TV, barely noticing Squidward's shouting outside. Squidward's left to his battle while SpongeBob and Patrick enjoy their cozy snow day.
Did you hear something, Patrick?
Nope. Yeah, neither did I. But I definitely saw these two creating some truly unforgettable groundbreaking art in our next episode, The Googly Artiste. La-da-dee, la-da-dum, la-da-doo, la-da-dee. Ah, it's a great day for the art world. The episode kicks off with Squidward pushing this big art piece under a sheet into his yard, all serious and intense about his latest creation. SpongeBob and Patrick call over to him, inviting him to join their arts and crafts fun. Squidward naturally scoffs at the idea, saying he's a real artist with a fancy artist hat to prove it. Can't argue with that. That hat is all artiste. SpongeBob proudly shows off his woven baskets and even some fake money he crafted, while Patrick is hammering away on a sad attempt at a basket, getting frustrated that he can't make art like SpongeBob or Squidward. It's alright, man. They can't do nothing quite like you do either. Seeing Patrick get all down, SpongeBob shows him how to make a rock with googly eyes.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
Patrick tries, but with his own chaotic twist. He covers the rock with way too many eyes. SpongeBob is thrilled, calling it amazing. Just as they're getting into it, Squidward criticizes their work. But then an art critic randomly shows up to judge Squidward's piece. It's a statue of himself, and the critic declares it hideous, taking Squidward's artist hat. Again, can't really argue with the word of an expert. Then he turns to look at SpongeBob's and Patrick's work. SpongeBob's gets labeled as lame, but when he sees Patrick's googly rock, he loves it, gives Patrick $500, and crowns him the new real artist by giving him Squidward's hat. Well, okay then. Squidward loses it, watching Patrick sell even more googly rocks until he gives up and heads to the Krusty Krab. Patrick's rock art blows up so much he's soon out of rocks, so he starts trying other arts, painting a beautiful sky and even sculpting a statue, but he dismisses them all as lame. None of it is good enough for the artiste. Starving, Patrick heads to the Krusty Krab to order art advice. Mr. Krabs, always after a buck, charges him $25 and tells Squidward to help Patrick. Squidward, of course, doesn't want to help Patrick, so he gives him the advice to focus on his Krabby Patty, which Patrick takes as genius and sticks googly eyes on it. Suddenly, googly patties become the hot new art trend, with crowds rushing to buy one. Bikini Bottom must be the easiest place in the world to get rich with all these suckers. Mr. Krabs quickly realizes Patrick is raking in cash, selling $3 Krabby Patties for $50 each, all thanks to Squidward's advice. Furious, Mr. Krabs forces Squidward to be Patrick's apprentice, gluing googly eyes onto patties and adding glitter, while Patrick smugly tells him that, with effort, he might become an artist too. Poor Squidward's left in tears, covered in glitter, as the episode just kinda ends. Hey, art is art, man. And as the old saying goes, what's yours is mine. That's the way this friendship tends to work anyway, at least in yours, mine, and mine. This episode begins when Patrick rolls into the Krusty Krab and orders a Krusty Kids meal. Of course he's completely broke, so SpongeBob steps up and pays for him. Patrick talks about how great it is to share, but hilariously eats every last bite, leaving none for SpongeBob. I guess that's some kind of friendship, right? And just as SpongeBob's starting to get over it, Patrick decides he's owed a toy for his meal, even though SpongeBob paid. So Mr. Krabs grabs a Krabby Patty, sticks on some pickle eyes and straws, and voila! Patty Pal. Oh boy. Well, I guess legally that holds up. SpongeBob is instantly smitten and names it, only for Patrick to grab it and say they're sharing it. SpongeBob can have it back at the end of the day. I'm not really sure he wants a rotting piece of burger, bro. Naturally, Patrick never gives SpongeBob a turn with Patty Pal, even by the end of the day. SpongeBob is desperate and goes to Patrick's house early the next morning, but Patrick keeps making excuses, stalling every time SpongeBob asks to borrow the toy. SpongeBob's offers keep getting shorter, but Patrick won't budge. Finally, SpongeBob snatches it, suggesting they pass it back and forth every second. This only makes Patrick more possessive, and they start fighting over it. This happens more often in their friendship than you'd think. From there, it's an escalating tug-of-war that spills into Squidward's house, and then Sandy's tree dome where things get even wilder. They're so distracted that they forget their water helmets and dry up, gasping for water as they stumble back outside. Once rehydrated, they're right back to battling over Patty Pal, rolling onto a bus, a subway, a taxi, pretty much causing mayhem everywhere they go until they finally end up back at the Krusty Krab, the source of all this trouble. But Patrick is not willing to give in. If I can't have it, no one can! He eats Patty Pal right in front of a horrified SpongeBob. Mr. Krabs arrives just in time to hear them both complaining about their ruined toy, and he lectures them about letting a silly toy come between their friendship. But why are we still calling it a toy? It was a burger! To make peace, Mr. Krabs offers them each a new Patty Pal if they're willing to pay. Patrick promises to cover it, then just snags SpongeBob's wallet. As SpongeBob protests, Patrick smugly lectures him about sharing. SpongeBob needs new friends, man. Actually, there are an unbelievable amount of episodes where Patrick screws him over. One of them is this next episode, Stuck in the Ringer, where Patrick basically just confines SpongeBob to his final days because, I don't know, fun? The episode kicks off with SpongeBob just out of the shower, almost slipping on a bar of soap but barely dodging it, only to step on Patrick's rubber duck and end up fully stuck in his ringer. Let's not try and work out why SpongeBob is still washing his clothes with an object from the 1400s. Patrick shows up looking for the duck and sees SpongeBob's predicament, but before SpongeBob can even explain, Patrick insists he has the solution, which ends up being forever glue, trapping SpongeBob permanently in the ringer. SpongeBob is frustrated, but tries to go about his day. I mean, what else can you do when you get stuck in the ringer? Of course, nothing goes smoothly for SpongeBob in his ringer. At the Krusty Krab, every move he makes creates a mess, and Mr. Krabs is so horrified by the damage, and more importantly the loss of profit, that he kicks SpongeBob out until he can get rid of the ringer. Outside, Patrick suggests they hit up a Super Weenie Hut Junior's to cheer him up with some ice cream. But SpongeBob realizes he can't eat because the ringer has his torso all squeezed up. Patrick suggests the carnival, where SpongeBob fumbles through all the games while Patrick enjoys himself and racks up an impressive amount of prizes, much to SpongeBob's irritation. Honestly, this friendship is stressful. Finally, at his breaking point, SpongeBob snaps, yelling that Patrick ruined his life by gluing him into the ringer.
If it wasn't for your forever glue, I wouldn't be stuck in this thing!
I was only trying to help.
Patrick is devastated and runs off, and the surrounding fish angrily turn on SpongeBob, assuming he's just being mean. SpongeBob starts to feel guilty and realizes he might have been too harsh with his friend. But let's be real, he wasn't. Patrick literally glued him in a dangerous device. The next morning, Patrick tries to convince himself he's done with SpongeBob, but can't stop thinking about him. Giving in, he heads to SpongeBob's house and finds him staring at static on the TV, totally miserable. Patrick breaks down, realizing he made things worse, and his tears start to dissolve the glue. Such a weird friendship, bro. What is happening? SpongeBob quickly gets an idea. They can both cry to break the glue's grip, and it works! SpongeBob's free from the ringer and the two hug, but before long the ringer falls back on them, trapping them together. SpongeBob just laughs, realizing they're stuck.
Well, at least we're together. Hey, should I get the glue?
Okay, so these guys will just never learn from their mistakes. Case in point, the camping episode, in which the two of them go camping, embrace nature, and almost unalive Squidward. So Squidward's all set for a quiet weekend, but his peace is instantly shattered when he sees SpongeBob and Patrick camping just 10 feet from his window. Yeah, not in the actual wilderness, just SpongeBob's front yard.
SpongeBob, it's not camping if you're 10 feet from your house.
But when SpongeBob hints that camping might be too rugged for Squidward, he gets this weird macho urge to prove them wrong and decides to join in, as if Squidward has ever been considered macho. Well, things go south immediately. Squidward's attempts to set up a fancy tent completely fail, while SpongeBob and Patrick look on like he's the world's worst camper. But what could compare to just lying out under the stars? As they start roasting marshmallows, things get chaotic. Patrick's technique involves catapulting flaming marshmallows at Squidward, who gets pelted every time. SpongeBob then pulls out his ukulele and belts out a wildly fast campfire song, which, of course, Squidward hates. He tries to drown it out by playing Kumbaya terribly on his clarinet, but SpongeBob freaks out, warning that bad clarinet playing at night can attract sea bears. Squidward dismisses this as ridiculous, and to be fair, it does sound like a blatant lie. But SpongeBob and Patrick pull out their proof tabloids. Oh, geez. To mock them, Squidward starts doing every single thing they claim attracts a sea bear, waving a flashlight, stomping, even wearing a sombrero goofily. Naturally, right on cue, a real sea bear shows up looking angry and ready to pounce. Squidward tries to dodge it, but the bear mauls him every time he moves. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Patrick just sit safely in their anti-sea bear circle, urging Squidward to jump in. For God's sake, man, get in the circle! After getting battered repeatedly, Squidward finally scrambles into the circle with them, and the sea bear backs off, growling at him as if to say, "Stay in there." Squidward is shaken, but grateful to be safe at last. But then, just as he relaxes, SpongeBob casually mentions they're lucky not to have attracted a sea rhinoceros, which apparently shows up whenever there's a sea bear attack. Now why would you say that, SpongeBob? Right on cue, a massive sea rhinoceros appears, glaring menacingly at Squidward. SpongeBob and Patrick are calm because they're wearing anti-sea rhinoceros undergarments. Poor Squidward, though, isn't, and just whimpers in defeat.
Good thing we're all wearing our anti-sea rhinoceros undergarments, right, Squidward?
Well, sure, Squidward's a goner, but this video ain't about him. We're celebrating the best friends ever, which is why our final episode, Club SpongeBob, sees them having the time of their life, while Squidward loses it. So Squidward's just trying to get to work, but as he's biking along, he spots SpongeBob and Patrick giggling at him from a tree house up in this huge tree. They're whispering to each other in some ridiculous woo-woo-woo language and acting all secretive. Naturally, Squidward's curiosity gets the better of him, and he's like, "Is this some kind of code? What's the deal?" You just had to go and ask, didn't you? But SpongeBob tells him that he wouldn't understand because he's not a club member. Squidward, offended, goes on about how he's in all these exclusive clubs, but SpongeBob and Patrick keep saying he wouldn't fit in. They are not lying.
What did he say?
I don't know. Something about his nose?
Squidward, you and your nose will definitely not fit in.
Furious, Squidward climbs the tree to prove his point, but the place is so tiny he finally realizes what they meant by not fitting.
We've been stuck up here for 3 days.
But instead of retreating, Squidward ends up getting stuck in their chaotic world. SpongeBob and Patrick try to initiate him by singing this annoying song, and Squidward's just done. He tries pulling on another tree to launch himself out, but of course ends up launching the entire treehouse into the sky. They fly through the air like a weird shooting star and crashing into some random spot in the kelp forest. Just think, he could have just kept cycling. Stuck and lost, SpongeBob and Patrick think it's the best adventure ever, but Squidward is just panicking. SpongeBob and Patrick whip out their magic conch shell, which they treat like some magical all-knowing guide. They ask the shell how they should survive, and it just says, "Do nothing." So they immediately sit down and do nothing. Squidward, beyond frustrated, stomps off, swearing he'll find his way back on his own. But after wandering for ages, he stumbles back to them even more lost. As days pass, Squidward looks like a full-on castaway, scavenging bugs to survive while SpongeBob and Patrick just blissfully wait, following the conch's wisdom. And it actually works out for them for some inexplicable reason. Out of nowhere, food literally falls from the sky, a whole picnic from a crashing plane. SpongeBob and Patrick happily feast, worshipping the conch, while Squidward, desperate, asks if he can join in. But when he finally asks the conch for permission to eat, it just keeps denying him, driving him up the wall. He can't catch a damn break. A park ranger, who also believes in the conch, arrives and joins their club. He does nothing to help, as per the conch's instructions. Defeated, Squidward gives in and joins them, resigned to the chaos that is SpongeBob and Patrick's weird, rule-free world. Their friendship is just too damn strong. All hail the mighty conch!